Welcome to the 2017 Canadian Under-25 Championships. I'm Jake Shuknick, joined by Terry O'Neill. How are you doing this morning, Terry?
I'm doing great, Jake. Good morning to everybody. It's bright and sunny here in Dartmouth, albeit a little bit windy.
It is quite windy. We'll see how that's going to affect some of the bowls here. On our featured rink, we have Cam LeFresne of Nova Scotia against Brandon Watson of Saskatchewan. It's the men's semi-finals. Over on rink 5, it's the last round robin for the women between Priscilla Westlake and Sydney Boyd. And far down there on 7 is the other men's semi-final, Rob Law from Manitoba against Luke Caldwell from Ontario.
I think we're in for some great matches today.
I believe so.
This is one of the shortest jacks that I've ever seen Cameron throw. Now he's got one in front and one just behind. I think I was just saying that it's one of the shortest jacks I've ever seen Cameron play.
Yeah, Cam's interesting sometimes. When I was talking to some of the players before, they say he hardly ever plays a long jack, and that he always tries to keep it around sort of that medium length, sometimes medium short. But this one's definitely on the shorter end of that.
Oh, yeah.
So Cam has the orange bowls, and Brandon has the white bowls. That'll make things easy to tell. Looks like Cam's holding 3 right now. Terry noted this earlier, both players are lefties, so we'll see who's the better southpaw.
That was a very good adjustment there.
Coming up clutch there. There are semifinals yesterday, or I guess not semifinals, tiebreaker rounds. Cam was tied with Rob for first place in the pool, so they played a 21-point match to see who was going to finish first and second in the pool. And that was a really good game. That went down to, I think, 21-19 or something like that.
So that's how they ended up with the opponents that they're playing this morning.
Which is interesting because Brandon finished perfect in his pool, so he was the clear number 1. But then Luke had to beat Braden Campbell in a tiebreaker to get that second spot.
Oh, they were tied at 2 and 3 with the same records.
Yeah, tied for second. Oh, that's pretty consistent bowling there from Brandon.
That is fantastic bowling.
That'll be 2. And of course, playing to 21 points still. But yeah, I was wondering yesterday when Rob and Cam were playing the tiebreakers if they were thinking about, you know, if I win this game, then I'm playing either Luke or Brandon, whereas if I lose, I play Brandon. Sorry, Luke or Braden. Brandon and Braden is kind of confusing names, but if you finish top of the pool, you play the number 2 in the other pool. So they already knew, Cam and Rob, the loser would be playing Brandon Watson. So I was wondering if that sort of played into their mind about how they wanted to finish that tiebreaker. You know, would you rather play Brandon Watson or would you rather play Luke Caldwell?
I think they were thinking about that. They're all right there, I think.
Yeah, you can just see him on the mat.
Just at the edge of the frame. Feeling that the opening gambit on the first one was to play short, he's gone pillar to post.
As always, if you have any questions or comments for us, reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter, at BCB Official on Facebook and at BCB Bowls on Twitter. I'll do my best to watch both social media accounts. Brandon's opening up just a little tight and heavy there.
I imagine all the players are pretty happy that the rain has passed. At least for now, so
yeah, yesterday's rain was pretty.
Deal with the wind.
Yesterday's rain was pretty torrential, and now today we've got some real strong winds. Between games there yesterday, once the rain finally stopped, I had a chance to throw a few bowls on number 2 and number 3 just to see how the TV rinks were running, and they seem to be playing okay. I only threw a few, so I didn't get too into it to see how many backups or little hills or valleys there were, but it looked like there was a nice draw on both hands from what I could see.
Now, their backhand, which Cameron just delivered here now, is wind aided. It holds the ball up, so it's like, almost like a sail, and it'll run a little further.
Brandon wants to know how far through he was. Didn't quite hear the answer, but I'm guessing that's probably 6 feet or so.
He's going from throwing what was probably 22 meters, 29 or 30.
Not quite there. Cam had a real battle to finish off games yesterday. He was up, I think, 19-6 against Carter, and Carter came back, and Cam only won 21-16 or 21-17, something like that. So he was stuck on 19 and 20 for, I think, 12 straight ends. And Brandon just had a smooth sail of the round robin, didn't lose a game.
You really have to keep your concentration.
It's probably second or third. Definitely cut him down.
Yeah, I would say that would be third shot. I don't think there's anything fancy here for Cameron. I think he just played that same draw.
Mm-hmm.
Wants it to hold off. He doesn't like it. Turned on him.
Yeah, and there it goes. Good weight. It's nice to see that so far in the men's semis here, we've got 4 different provinces represented. There's not any duplicates. Because there were
It's terrific.
multiple entries from Ontario, multiple entries from Saskatchewan, multiple entries from Nova Scotia, so it's nice to see we got a little bit of diversity.
Are all 4 of these guys on either the youth development or the national team?
What's that?
Are all 4 of the guys that are playing, are they all on the youth development or the national team?
Cam's on the senior squad, and I think Luke and Robbie are on the development squad, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna pull up that webpage right now to see who's on the team over on bullscanada.com. Team Canada at the top.
Cameron's gone for just a slightly longer jack than they played the first in.
Yes.
By about 3 yards.
So Luke and Rob are on the development squad. Cam's on the senior squad, and Brandon is on the youth development squad, as are Luke and Rob as well. So that was 2 for Cam to tie things up at 2. Looking over at the other semifinal, Rob Law's up 2-1 and just pinned it on the jack with his first bowl. Darryl said at breakfast he was a little bit nervous this morning, wasn't eating a whole lot. Which, it's tough to force yourself to eat the morning before a big game, but you got to do it.
Nice shot by Cameron. Ball in front, one behind. got a nice smooth delivery too.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Just inside.
that's narrow. Good weight though. Toucher from Cameron.
He was on one of the TV rinks a couple days ago against Grant Wilkie, and he just played lights out. He really got his draw weight down. From what I've seen, his draw weight's been very consistent all week.
Yeah, he's got a very smooth, compact delivery. Good for a surface like this that it doesn't take a lot of effort to deliver the ball.
Mm-hmm.
It rolls pretty smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like throwing 110 feet on a rough green.
Right, right.
Throwing your arm out.
Yeah, you don't need to wind up too much here.
Now, I guess it's early going, so he's just playing a draw. That wind held that one up.
Yep. That can be really frustrating when you throw your ball and then the wind picks up and just alters it enough.
Thrown exact same as the other three that were dead on line. What's Brandon do here? He's facing a couple.
If Cam,
Tap on the side.
that's right. If Cam is actually locked on the jack there, you just need to tap him a bit, and it's going straight to you for 2 or 3 on the side. I don't know if Cam's actually pinned on it though. If there's a little separation, that makes it a little tougher to do.
It was a toucher. So.
It was a toucher,
Yeah.
but if there's separation, then you might need to play a little more aggressively into that than just a touch. He's definitely reaching. And just wide. So that's 1 and a look for Cam. He's looking. Orange shoes to match the orange bowls.
It's like 2
Taking out 2, and they're looking to see if there's 3, and they're going to measure, I think.
Looking for 3.
Yeah. In the women's rink, Sydney Boyd got up to a 2-0 start over Priscilla, and Rob Laws trucking along 4-1 over Luke Caldwell.
So 2 it was.
Yeah, just the 2 for Cam LeFresne. Cam's grandmother is flipping the scores. Lena Cameron behind there, one of the co-chairs for the Junior Under-25 Championships.
I was talking to her earlier. She's trying to get ready for Victoria, and she's been so busy with this. She's either marking games or helping out here or driving somebody or doing something. They've really put a great deal of effort. She's the heart and soul of a lot of juniors in the province.
Mm-hmm.
She's works very hard.
Yeah, Lena's been putting in a lot of time, and when she told me she was going to be in Victoria, I said, well, if you're lucky, you might be on the TV rink, and she just said, no, I hope not. So I guess playing on TV isn't something she's looking for. Just squeaking in there. Cam's gone back to that medium length jack. That's a good ball there. Lots on the line here, as the winner of this match will go to the gold medal game against either Luke or Rob. And we'll be streaming that later today, weather permitting as well. After this game, I'm not sure if it's the women's final first or the men's final first. Either way, we'll be live streaming both.
As far as the World Junior goes, how many of the gold and silver medalists go? Or is it just the gold medalists?
I don't think we can count on that. We're given one entry to start, and for the past, I don't know, 2-3 years, they've asked us to send a second entry, and I think in the women's side they might have even asked for a third, but
Invitation, I guess.
depends on who's going to go and who's not going to go. Of course, they want to have a nice even number when you get there, and I'm not sure what order they ask countries in.
Cameron's holding 2. Coming down to throw his last. I guess it's no more than a draw.
It doesn't need to change a whole lot there.
That's 3.
Yeah, that's 3 for Cam.
Brandon's going to come down and have a look at that.
Mm-hmm. Past few years, Canada's had a second invite to the World Youth Championships, so we can't count on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got an invite again for 2018, which will be held in February, since the Commonwealth Games are March, April.
Yeah, they're very close, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're pretty close together.
Yeah.
That's going to be a busy few months there, because the World Cup is also sometime in there too. I'm not sure if it's before or after the World Youth.
Set to try and make a save here. Certainly got weight to the head.
He's watching it. Does he got it?
Just sliding by.
So that looks like it's 3 for Cam. That's a good start. In the background there, walking past the clubhouse door, she's just heading around, is Anne-Marie Seitman with her camera around her neck. She's been taking great pictures all week. Big thanks to her for all the high quality photos that she takes. Yeah, awfully short on that.
This is 2 bases.
I think Brandon's calling an umpire to measure that.
It's worth a measure, but I still think it's okay.
Yeah, I think that's okay too.
Not by much. It's 6 inches.
Because they're just short of that first seam, and they're past that seam there by a fair bit.
He's got the mat up a bit.
Cal and Val Pichard are out checking. Ooh, that's going to be close.
Why can't they ever seem to find the number?
Yeah, he's saying it's good. Cal's quick to round that up. Wow,
I
that's
think it was about 5.5 inches.
Probably not by too much.
Now, get out of the way.
Now that we're good to play, Cam's starting on his forehand. That's a pretty good opening bowl there.
Yeah, he's this isn't Cameron's home club by any means, but he's played in plenty of tournaments here, so he does know the lines. He does know. As you can see, he's honing in on it.
Mm-hmm. He used to practice here with Jackie Foster a fair bit. This year, not so much, but last year and years prior.
And it's kind of weight sensitive there too. Just what line goes on there. That's their forehand, right?
Yeah. Left-handed forehand, right-handed backhand. Cam is getting his weight pretty good here. Lying 3. Brandon's coming up short and a bit narrow.
The kind of line you wanted. I mean, if that was coming through the head, it might not be bad.
I think Cam's just looking to bury the jack a little bit. He's coming up short. I guess he was throwing a guard on that.
Now he thinks maybe that blocked the path. If I get greedy, he's got the 3.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to be throwing weight at that. There's a lot of gaps, a lot of holes.
He's changed his hand now. Brad's gonna play try and get to those. See what it does.
And he's found the
Oh,
bowl.
that
Wow.
That was fair. I don't think they played a bowl on that hand.
Nope. Yeah, I think that was the first bowl they played that hand. And he nailed it.
Nicely done. And he needed that.
That 4th bowl conversion shot is key. It's great to see we have some out-of-province spectators here today. Pat Bagg showed up a couple days ago to come and watch, all the way from New Brunswick. Pat was part of the host committee that got the juniors running in 2013, I think. The juniors were in Fredericton.
5-4 for Lucas now. He's holding shot. He's got a medium jack.
Coming up a yard short or so.
Cameron's gonna save that backhand.
He's inside.
Wait.
Wow. I thought that would take off for sure, but
That backhand actually holds the center line there. Unless you really cross it.
it's 4 Mm-hmm.
Those are Blaze. Is that Taylor Blaze? Is that
I believe that Cam used to play with Blaze, and unless he changed his bowls since last I saw him, that's probably what those are.
Yep. Still down 2. Cam's changed his hand now.
Yeah.
Outside.
See if he can draw around. He's lying 2.
That'll come down nice to the head.
Yeah, that should be good for 3.
Brandon's really thinking this one over. It's a lot of heat when you're facing 2 and 3 every hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems to be the case whenever he gets to his 4th bowl. He's down 2 or 3. Bit of an unfortunate result there.
Contact, but I don't think it changed the count.
Chris Stadnick's tuning in from the Niagara Falls Lawn Bowling Club before their tournament today, I guess, as it's the holiday Monday, if I'm not mistaken. That's the Pirate Tournament.
Pirate?
Yeah, Ian McPherson goes down south every year, and he comes back with a few bottles that he donates. So first prize, you get a couple bottles of...
So it must have something to do with rum.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. Cam's coming up a bit short on that. I don't think that's going to be in the count.
That was a freebie.
Mm-hmm.
And he will be extremely discouraged with himself.
Yeah, just the 3. Yeah, I've been talking with Daryl about that.
Knows deep in his heart how those free ones are. You just have to make those free ones.
Daryl and I have been chatting all week about how that 4th bowl wide open draw is sometimes the toughest shot to make,
Yep.
even though it's wide open. Just always a little scared that you're going to mess things up or
Yeah.
difficult to replicate.
I can see his grandmother there marking the score saying, "You should have made that one." And he's back to the short jack again.
Yeah, well, it's serving him well. He's up 10-3. And over on rink 7, there's a cluster of blue bowls, and Rob is just trying to draw it off. But Luke Caldwell's up 7-4. Looks like he's lying 3, and Rob's coming up tight. So I think that'll make it 10-4 for Luke as well. And in the only other match that's on right now, the women's game, Sydney Boyd is up 6-3 over Priscilla Westlake. That is the final round of their triple round robin. I believe Priscilla will be playing Kara in the final. Brandon's hard after it. Just through.
Did touch it as he went by. Cameron's been milking that forehand of his.
Yeah, that's what I've seen all week, is that he just picks a hand and he masters it quickly, and then
Absolutely.
he just goes to town.
He is he's very good at repeating bowls, and just isn't that the key to the game?
Yeah, that's the key. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Never noticed it till right now, but looking at the clubhouse here, it reminds me an awful lot of a club in London called Fairmont. Just the way the clubhouse is set up, it looks almost like an identical clubhouse, really. It's kind of neat. That's a great bowl there from Brandon.
I'm trying to remember what Fairmont looks like inside, but
Yeah, inside's a little different. The kitchen's at the other end at Fairmont. Cam's coming up just
that's enough for nut.
I think a foot short. A foot more than that, he'd be shot. That's a pretty good bowl there from Brandon. That could be good for, well, maybe not. I was going to say that might have been enough to give him shot, but Cam's back ball fell in. One bowl each still to come. That's a pretty good looking head.
Not bad. Not bad. There's nothing outside of certainly 3 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out that white one on his backhand. Maybe push up the one that's in there.
Just sliding through. Yeah. Brandon has a chance here for 3 or 4 if he can trail the jack over to his cluster. Danger with that though is if you get a little inside and chip it the wrong way.
I'd say Cameron's probably holding 1, right?
Yeah, I would favor Cam from here.
Yeah.
So that sort of forces Brandon to make a shot. I'd say that's definitely reaching.
Close.
Got it.
Oh, very unfortunate.
Great shot.
Rebounding jack off his own.
Unfortunate result.
That gave Cameron 1.
Well, it could have been worse, but it also could have been a heck of a lot better.
If that goes sideways, he could have got 3 or 4.
I've got Andy Caldwell sending me a message on Facebook saying, morning gentlemen, in Australia the rinks on the greens, the tee, center lines, and boundary rinks are all painted into the green. With the new time limits for Canadian Championships, would BCB like to see the greens chalked for center and boundary lines to help speed up play? He wants to test that at the seniors. Yeah, Andy, I would love to see that happening. Having been to Australia myself, it really speeds up time when you've got the boundary lines and the center lines marked, because then you're never guessing, is that bull dead, or is that jack dead, or, you know.
I think it's great. It gives you more aiming points also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. It does give you a little more aiming point, because you can use those lines. So yeah, I think that would be great if we could get boundary lines as well as center lines chalked. I'm glad to hear that we've got a couple people reaching out to us on Facebook and Twitter. For all of you who aren't, please do. At BCB Official on Facebook and at BCB Bowls on Twitter. Yeah, as they're playing a short jack, we had to get Terry up and active to go and fix the camera. A little bit of morning exercise.
Yeah.
Well, you were out here for a little while this morning, rolling bowls down on rink number 8.
I had my 120 balls laid on the green by 9 o'clock.
How was it running?
It was running good. I actually didn't time it for pace. I'm just trying to get some of the glue out of my system.
Monday morning here, it's natal day in Nova Scotia, and when we were at dinner last night, we did a quick Google check to see what on earth is natal day. And it's actually I believe the proper title is Alexander Keith Natal Day. It's the birthday of Halifax, I think, when Halifax was founded. In most other provinces it's known as a civic holiday, except in Saskatchewan it's called Saskatchewan Day, and I think in BC it's also called BC Day. But most other provinces have today as a holiday. Just through. Cam's pretty quick on the map. He's not quite Owen Kirby quick, but he's still pretty quick.
Looks like one from here.
Yeah, looks like one orange. This is the last bowl. We'll see if Brandon can draw it off or maybe trail. Gotta be close. Gotta be close.
Yes, that's a
Should be good for two, I think.
trail for two, I think, yeah.
So difficult to consistently convert on your fourth bowl, as it seems to be the case here.
He's seems to be down every time he's going off for the pulpit.
And that's not
Very hard.
not for lack of trying on his part either. It's just Cam is really putting some pressure on with finding his draw weight.
We'll see a little change of length of jack, I imagine.
Yeah, I would assume that he'll probably stretch that out and play a little longer. Maybe T to T. Down at the end, Luke Caldwell's up 11-6 over Rob Law. Sydney Boyd's up 7-6 over Priscilla Westlake.
Robbie.
Just keeping that jack on. That wasn't
That is not easy.
that wasn't staying on by much. Matter of inches.
So this one really isn't much different than what they've been playing, maybe a yard or two.
Yeah, that's true. I would have thought for sure Brandon would have stretched it out or brought the mat up more or something, but this looks almost identical to what Cam's been playing the last 3 or 4 ends. And if you have any questions for our youth and development coaches, reach out to Daryl at Canadian Bowler on Twitter. He's here catching the action live, as he'll be working with, I guess, all of these bowlers really, as all 4 of them will be on the youth development squad. Top 4 men and women for the juniors and top 4 men and women for the under 25s are named to the youth development squad for a 1-year term.
They both of them have just hit that
Outside
little
line.
division there on the green where it hangs out on that on their forehand, and thus you see those 2 bowls way out now.
But if he can get inside that,
Makes his
then
correction, and
there you go. That might be really tough to find a line actually to the jack, because if you're outside it hangs, and if you're just a shade inside it comes up a little narrow. Here's a pretty good response from Brandon.
yeah, very nice.
That's a couple of good pulls there. Cam's chasing this down. I think he might be close.
You like, right?
Yeah, that's usually the case, and yeah,
Very
that's a pretty
nice
good bowl.
Front toucher.
I guess there must be a line to the jack, just as I said there might not be,
Oh,
but
there is. But if you don't hit it, you end up those 2 on the left. Brandon's going to come up and have a good look at this, see what his options are.
just as I asked Andy if he could mark the boundary lines and the center lines for the seniors, he says, all right, that means I've got a lot more work to do, but he's passionate about the game, so he's willing to do it. But one request is for you to speak up a little more. I can barely hear you in the mics, so maybe just, I don't know, talk a little louder.
Okay.
Thanks for the feedback there, Andy. We had no idea, so I'll have Terry shouting at you here in a minute. Brandon's last bowl. I think he's just coming up a little inside. Great effort.
Might have got him second shot.
Cam still has one to come here, so I'm sure he's just looking to beat Brandon's bowl. Maybe a little tap on his might be good for 3 if he can just roll over his front resting toucher. He looks very spicy on that. Yeah, that was pretty quick.
Trying to push his shot ball onto it.
Pop it back, so it would have been 2. Will probably be the count here.
That's the debate if it's I think it was just 1.
Really? I thought for sure that would have been 2.
12-4.
Down in the other semis, we got 12-6 for Luke Caldwell over Robbie Law. And 9-7, Priscilla's taking the lead over Sydney. How do you like these on-the-green tiebreakers now rather than sorting them out on paper?
The absolute only way to go. I've fought for it for eons. And the way it was devised by the competition committee to sort it out so that there's no more than a couple of rounds. Initially, when they tried to do it, people were playing at midnight, still trying to get things settled. But this is the new system. It's settled on the green. If you ask the bowlers, they wouldn't care if it was a 1-bowl roll-off. They would rather do it on the green than some statistic that they can't control that might have resulted out of one team pounding another team just to build up their numbers. Settling it on the green is no question. It's the only way to go.
Now that that is the case, that games or ties are settled on the green, I guess the next step then I'm thinking is, do we still have to finish games if they're mathematically out of reach? Because that plus minus now doesn't really matter as much if you're going to be settling it on the green anyway. Right now, as it stands in the conditions of play, you still have to finish those games no matter what the score is, but it kind of doesn't really matter anymore.
Well, I think you should then you get into people getting off the green early, and then they get rest where other people don't get rest. I think you got to play the games. And people travel a long way. There's some teams that are going to come and they know they're not going to win every game, or it might not be their week to win every game. But they've come. They want to play their bowls. They're paying a lot of money to come halfway across the country. Want to just play 12 ends every game. They want to play,
Yeah, Daryl's chipping in saying that points actually do matter. If there's a 3-way tie, then to rank players 1, 2, and 3 for the tiebreak.
That's true.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, you're right.
They do use it for that exact thing.
That might.
But no one can be eliminated from play.
No.
It just orders the play.
Orders the play for the tiebreaks.
I've got no problem with that, and no one would argue with that.
It's a pretty interesting head here, as both bowls there are very close to the jack.
Oh yeah.
Cam's sort of scratching his head, saying, "What do I do here?" If you play into his front rester, you're likely just going to give it away.
I think the any touch on that front orange one that the jack is going to squirt left, and I guess it all depends on how you hit it.
Mm-hmm. There might be a chance he could draw around there and just roll Brandon's over. I'm not sure how big of a swing there is, but
He is playing the backhand.
it's definitely what I'd be trying to do, I think. He's playing some weight into this. He's well wide and he's just going around to the back.
I might have just
Guess he just wanted to leave well enough alone. He might be confident that he is shot or just willing to give up one. 'Cause that's going to be very tough to get a second shot out of that.
I don't know if they're both touching or not. It's hard to tell. The other day we thought it was two balls touching, and they used, what did they call
They
it?
use the feeler gauges.
The feeler gauges.
Yeah. There's, I don't know how many of them there are in their
I
little...
guess they were feeling it for the other guy.
I guess so. I still don't know how that managed to be one way or the other. I thought for sure the other day that was going to be an equal distance, but apparently they could fit a millionth of an inch feeler gauge between bull and jack for one of them. A millionth of an inch. A very precise measurement those feeler gauges are. I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the thickest is an eighth of... No, that's way too much. Eighth of an inch.
Brandon's up plenty with this.
He's definitely not short.
It's a little tight.
That
What?
might have shaken
Now,
things
what's
up.
that do?
That might have been enough to give it to him. Cam's looking. I wouldn't be surprised if they just call an umpire on this right away. Cam's shrugging his shoulders. I have no idea. Calbashard's sitting right behind their rank too, so if they do call an umpire, he'll be first there. But it might be obvious to them as they're both looking.
They can decide things for themselves.
I guess they made a decision. I think Cam got it.
Really?
Wow.
I think that little... What happened with
Yeah, that last ball where he just
different beforehand.
gave a little action to it. We have former under-25 representative Katie Patino from Ontario watching the U25's, rooting on Luke Caldwell from Peterborough Club, where she played for 18 years before moving this year. Long-time Peterborough member.
Another very short jack.
I wouldn't be surprised if they call the measure on this again. We'll see if Brandon calls it or not. No, they're gonna play. That's
That is close.
That's almost identical to the one they called a jack measure on before, but I guess
Yeah.
since the last one was good, maybe he's thinking this one is too then. It's almost the same.
It's just short.
Currently 10-8 for Priscilla Westlake over Sydney Boyd and 15-6 for Luke Caldwell over Robbie Law. Interesting name, Robert. When we were at dinner last night, we were talking about how in 20, 30 years he might just become a Bob, which is interesting because he doesn't look like a Bob right now, but
Who's that?
Robbie Law,
Oh.
having the name Robert, it's got so many different nicknames that he might just turn into a Bob.
Cameron just drew the shot with that one.
Wind has been picking up here. That might be the difference why he's coming up 10 inches short or so. Brandon's playing on his backhand, trying to draw through the port, I think. He's coming up inside.
It's not really much to a ball.
Not sure if he was trying to push Cam through there, that kind of weight. It was a little more than just a draw. Cam's changing up some angles.
On for two.
I think that'll force Brandon to switch hands. Yeah, it does. Just outside.
Right, a little high.
And if you're Cam, I'm definitely thinking I'm going to get a back pull there. If he makes that conversion with his last pull, you're down 4. I'm looking for a little security right now, I would think. He's not there. And he's taking off his hat and giving his head a shake, saying, I'm not happy with that. Wanted that to be another 10 feet heavier.
I contend that leaving the mat, you're losing some of your forward impetus with the ball. You know, you got to finish your delivery. I mean, it's easy to say because it didn't work that time, but I see that all the time.
Yeah, I second that. Whenever you run off the mat or race off the mat, you tend to lose some of your momentum and need to really follow through and stay down, finish your delivery before you go for a walk.
It only makes sense if 98% of the time you stay on the mat and finish your delivery.
You should for the other 2% as well.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're not getting any. You shouldn't be surprised if it doesn't work. This is really all over the track in the other semifinal over there.
Yeah, Luke looks like he's playing the same way that he played in the semifinal last night when he beat Braden Campbell 21-3. And it's not that Braden played overly bad, it was just Luke played lights out, and it looks like he's doing that again here. 16-6 in his semifinal match. Brandon's playing weight at this. He needs to make a connection. And he does, wow.
Oh,
Wow.
You never get a great result out of that. 2, maybe more.
Yeah, 2 and a look. That is the one sort of downside to playing a short end or short jack, is that it's a little bit easier, I find, to throw weight into it because there's less distance to travel, less room for error.
I agree. I'm just thinking the 2.
And yeah, just two for Brandon. Makes it 13-6. Big thanks to our partners and sponsors, the Government of Canada through Sport Canada. They give us a big portion of our funding. The Coaching Association of Canada, they help us run coach workshops and coach clinics throughout the country. If you're interested in becoming a coach, get in touch with me and we'll put you in touch with the right person in your province to become a coach. Kukri is our official clothing supplier. We'll be selling our official BCB gear at the majors in Victoria in a couple weeks, so if you're in the area, come on down. We'll be selling you some sweaters, hats, visors, t-shirts. Come check it out. And of course, lawnbowlingmanager.com. If you're looking to make your club a little more efficient, looking for a one-stop shop to manage your club, I would strongly recommend going to lawnbowlingmanager.com. It's a pretty great website, database, resource tool I think every club could take advantage of.
Now Brandon has the opportunity to set the tone with his length.
But doesn't doesn't appear to be much longer. That's a great ball there from Cam than what they've been playing this whole game. The mat's up about the same, just a little bit, maybe a mat length or two, and the jack still just sort of around that medium length. Which I find very interesting, that Cam's been playing this relatively well, and we've been talking earlier how Brandon's had to make conversion shots on his fourth bowl numerous times this game already, and yet when he does get the jack, he's still playing that same length.
So it does draw nicely on that hand. He was just playing the forehand coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Now Cameron's staying right where he knows that one's gonna.
That's a great shot.
On there.
That is a beautiful bowl. Brandon's eyeing this one intently, but I think he's wide. Just around the back. Do you think Cam's going to get some position here, or just keep piling them into the head?
Oh, I think he's going to try and get back to that one. Make me a liar. He's going to cover the path in.
Yeah. Throw in a guard, and Brandon's going to come down and take a look.
That's gonna work as a guard, or
it might almost be in the count too, depending on how close that is. Actually,
eh?
It might almost be in the count. His last bowl, depending on how far to the right Brandon's is.
It does change the shot Brandon's going to play, I think.
It's going to be tough to draw off, but if you throw a drive at that and miss, Cam's got a wide open draw for 3 or 4. And once more, Brandon has to make a conversion shot on his fourth bowl. That's tough to do. You can do that once in a while, but that's not something you want to have to do every single end.
It can wear on you big time.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what he can do here, if he can make it another end.
On the backhand.
Yeah, I think he's looking
to play it a little narrower.
Yeah, I think he's playing to
a little bit more weight.
Playing to push Cam and the jack through. He does have the 2 best back, I believe, but he's way inside. So Cam's lying 2 for sure.
Now let's see if he can
make that fourth bowl.
Yeah.
Sometimes the toughest shot is the
kicking himself all over the place.
Over on the far rink, Luke Caldwell's up 19-6. He's on a mission to get to the final. We'll see if Cam can make this count. He's in the neighborhood, I think. Another couple feet. Yeah, well, that should do it. Should be 3 for sure. I bet when he picks up the jack, he's going to keep that medium length going again, as it's working well for him. Priscilla Westlake's up 10-9 over Sydney Boyd. Hard to believe this week's already come to an end. Feels like just yesterday I flew in to the Halifax airport and it's already done.
Yeah. Incredible.
Three it was for Cam. Makes it 16-6. This game's starting to stretch.
So Robbie scored there.
That makes it 19-8, I believe. I think he was lying 2.
19-8?
I think he was lying 2 there,
yep.
So once they update the scoreboard, that should be what it is. Big thanks to all the volunteers who've been helping out this week. Brenda as the chief scorer, she's been fantastic on doing things on the fly as we've had to make a few changes here and there. All of the markers, umpires, ladies in the kitchen, those home-cooked meals were delicious. Takes a lot of work to make one of these fly, especially over the course of 7 or 8 days. This is our longest championship. And that's a good opening bowl there from Brandon. Cam left quite the gap and he's taken advantage of it. Cam's hard after him. That's in the neighborhood. Just through. Not sure if you can see over there on rink 5, but Sydney has some interesting colored bowls. Green with
kind of a light green on the outside and a darker green on the inside. On the running surface.
Yeah, just on the running surface, which is interesting. And that's a beautiful bowl there from Brandon. He's clearly found his weight and his line here now.
Cameron's changing hands here, trying to get at those two.
And just
a
inside.
hair narrow.
You know, that can be the danger of
receiving position.
Can be the danger of sometimes playing the same length all the time as Cam's been keeping it at this length, is that your opponent's eventually going to figure it out, and it looks here like Brandon has. Those are some pretty good bowls, those white ones.
The wind comes up.
See if that makes a difference. Yeah, that didn't want to come back at all. Outside of that point of no return.
Brandon's going to have a look at this.
See how close he needs to be.
A little more zip in his step. He's feeling it. He's got 3 and a chance for 4. Draw for 4.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be perfect here. Just needs to draw
No, I
a few feet.
sometimes wonder. It's good to come up after the third ball.
Mm-hmm.
See what the position is and solidify in your mind the shot you want to play. But sometimes when it's really open like that, I'll come up and then I'll go back and I won't get the result I wanted. And I almost become superstitious that I made the wrong decision. Now, obviously, he made the right decision.
Yeah, that's a great shot there.
Draw, jack high for 4 shots.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. When it's wide open like that and you're in the groove and just put 3 in the head, you don't need to change anything. Sometimes walking to the head can just slow you down enough that it throws you out of that groove in that 4th bowl. Now it's difficult to replicate the first 3, so if I'm really feeling it, there's a good chance I'm not going to come down. Yeah, I'll just stay on the mat and just keep trucking.
Yep. And that's a big bowl for him. Now he's into double figures and he's a little more in reach. I mean, if you watch the first part of that game, you would think, it wasn't even close. But Brandon really ground out. Now he's going to take advantage.
And right back to that.
Robbie's moved into double figures.
Yeah, Robbie's moved into double figures here too. 19-10. He's
stretched it out.
All the guys here tend to hang out at night, and so they talk and chat a little bit. I was out for dinner with them last night, but sometimes that can be a disadvantage as you'll tell each other your strengths and weaknesses, and Luke said he doesn't really like playing long ends, and looking down there I can see Robbie's playing T to T right now, just to try to mess with Luke a little bit and get the advantage.
Brandon's locking in now.
Brandon is tuning in on this length now. Took him a few ends to get going, but now that he's found it, he's found it.
Yep. If Cameron can step back into gear. pretty good at weight adjustment, I will say. So.
Mm-hmm. That's a great
not
shot.
Too shabby response.
That's a great shot. We'll see if Brandon can push him out or grab the jack. He's in the neighborhood. Just missed.
Just in a good receiving position, though.
Yeah, that's a good spot to be.
You can tell this is stretching them out just a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Just coming up a little bit short.
Brandon doesn't like that. He kind of sees that in his
eye.
Line there.
Yeah. So I think he needs to up the weight a little bit to play underneath it if he's still going for that shot. I wouldn't be surprised if he follows this down to take a look at the head to see for himself. I think he's close. Just inside again. That's a pretty consistent pull. For your cam, I'm definitely looking to get one back there now. And that's what he's looking to do here. He's upped a bit of weight, and that's a great spot there.
Yes.
That's an excellent spot. Kind of surprised Brandon didn't go down and take a look. I thought he would.
That's the semifinals over.
Didn't think Luke got two on that. Brandon really upped the weight on that, but still found it almost that same track. So Luke Caldwell will be playing in the final, while Robbie Law will be playing for bronze. Interesting question here from Andy Caldwell as Cam's rolling his bowl to try to get another position. This one's for you here, Terry. Andy was playing in Willowdale yesterday, playing in the Gold Cup, and there were a few ballers there that are going to Canadians, and they have dimples on their bowls, but they colored them in with nail polish or paint. Will those have to be removed when they play at the Canadians?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
As long as they match, I believe that's the only requirement.
It's no problem. They have like the right date stamp on them, and
Mm-hmm.
Any painting in the grooves or anything else, I don't think that's a problem. As long as it's matching bowls.
I've seen a few bowls like that myself. I know some people like to paint them white or whatever color in the dimples.
Yeah, in today's with all the different colors and everything
Mm-hmm.
else, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that it's just, as long as they're distinctive and different and they're a match set, and the World Bowl stamp on them, I think they're good.
That being said, I guess it might be up to the discretion of the umpire there if, they really don't match, or if the paint is abnormally thick and adds to the outer layer of the bowl to maybe give you that extra edge.
Cameron's coming back to the short jack. Put his first foot in front.
Mm-hmm.
He's up 17-10 now. Brandon pushed him through, but Cameron still shot. The wind seems to have died down a bit now.
Mm-hmm. Things are starting to calm down here a bit.
Pleasant. So Cameron draws two.
Priscilla's up 12-9 in the women's match, and they're calling for an umpire to measure a couple bowls. And Brandon's starting to play a little more aggressively here.
Cameron's within reach now of the magic number, so.
And he's really trying to do it here in this one end, as he's allowing 3 right now.
He'd love to end it, and he, depending on where Brandon puts this one.
Brandon's close. That's a great bowl.
Great bowl, that's right.
Lovely shot.
Can't tell who shot.
Cam's looking around, seeing if there's any way he can push that away without moving the jack. I don't think there is. I think if you play on that bowl, then
That was a real saver. That was a
yeah.
great shot.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Brandon has been playing fairly well at converting when he needs to, using whether it's his 3rd bowl or his 4th bowl.
He's kind of up and trying to get up and in them.
And Cam is well wide.
Yeah.
Back at the tee just about. Brandon's getting real close now, taking a look, because that's probably a close call for separation on bowl and jack. Need to be extremely careful on this, as you don't want to touch it and give it away.
That's for sure. I mean, there are times, well, if Cameron was closer to 21, you might be in a situation sometimes to say, hey, I'll take that one and keep adding to your count, as opposed to trying to play the world's most difficult shot to maybe get you one more point.
Yeah, one thing that a lot of more experienced players always tell me is to play the percentage shot, whatever's the higher percentage, and right now playing into that might not be. It's tough to tell from this angle just how close things really are. It was an interesting bowl. I'm not sure what he was trying to get out of that result. So I guess Cam was lying 1 there.
So 18-10.
Cam's looking for 3. Brandon's looking to keep plugging away to see if he can get 11. 12-10 for Priscilla over Sydney in the women's match. It looks like Sydney's putting up a pretty good fight. And if you're interested in getting involved with Bowls in Canada, you should head over to our website, bowlscanada.com. Find the Get Involved tab, Opportunities, and check out the descriptions for being on one of our various committees or being on the board. Volunteering for Bowls Canada can be quite rewarding, as you can have a say in what goes on with bowls across the country.
Excuse me.
I'm sure Terry can tell you all about that, as he's the vice president for the board right now. There's a lot of work to being on the board, but it's quite interesting to see what goes on and to make some of those high-level decisions.
Yeah, there's Bowls Canada has made some great strides over the last couple of years, really getting some house in order as far as different policies, and everything is evolving all the time. So you know, it's always changing. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we're trying to make the wheel stronger and run more smoothly. And sometimes the style of games change. Bowls has changed. It was a very old, staid, traditional thing before. Now they've got different colors, different formats, trying to make it more exciting, more appealing to younger people. And while Braden just draws second there,
Beauty bowls.
Brandon. my Bradens and my Brandons mixed up. Anyway, I know that in Nova Scotia, they've had a great year as far as attracting new bowlers. All of the clubs. This club here at Dartmouth has got 150, 160 members.
Mm-hmm.
Wanderers is well up over 100 now. They've done some fixes to the facility in Truro, and their green is really coming along. There's a new one coming in Port Williams.
Oh, great shot there from Brandon.
Great shot from Brandon. He's now holding 2, maybe 3. So it's exciting right across the country. There's a lot of good stuff happening.
That's promising to hear that membership's going up here in Nova Scotia, and even more promising to hear that a new club is going to be opening up here soon. That's exciting times. That's not every year you can say that. Although I would like to say every year we could say that a new club would open.
Yeah, and they're really excited about it. They've got a greenfield site picked out. Now they're just going through the process of deciding whether it's going to be natural turf or synthetic, and a beautiful spot down in the Mountains Valley there, so it'll give us another kind of reaching out, spidering out from Halifax to different places. Here's another. He touches the jack, he would get 4 for sure.
That would really put him back in this game if he could pick up a 4. Currently down 18-10. Every point matters at this point.
Just kind of grazed, went through, and didn't do any damage.
Cam's kicking out 2.
2 out.
Look, I think it'll be 3.
Doesn't seem to be kicking anymore.
No, he's just saying 2.
2 it is.
2 will do for Brandon, making it 18-12. Putting up a fight, trying to see if he can.
Sometimes those last couple of points are the toughest to get.
Yeah, they can be. I noticed that yesterday.
Although traditionally I've had a stuck on 13.
13's been your unlucky number?
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, it didn't matter what we were playing to. We could be playing the 101. I'd be stuck on 13. For a little while, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Couple ends here and there, yeah.
It's interesting. Like in Australia, they play their singles. They play lots of matches in different styles. They play to 31 or 25, and they play fast, really fast.
Yeah, they do. They don't waste any time down there.
No, they don't kick the balls back to a point. They take the mat and throw it down. They kick the balls out of the way. They're ready to go right away. Here's a nice, a little short, maybe 2.5 feet.
I would really love to see a few tournaments in Canada for singles playing to 25 or 31.
Yeah, we're so spread out here. It's difficult.
That's a pretty good response there from Cam. Let's see, drew shot.
The difference between 2 feet behind and 2 feet in front is enormous. In how you can play, how you can be aggressive to it, shot making. It's the scoring zone behind, right?
If you're 2 feet behind, you might not necessarily need to alter too much, because if you're looking to trail the jack or come in off a bowl or something like that, but if you're 2 feet short, you definitely need to change something, because you don't want to continually be short.
Well, 2 feet is just about a full revolution. I think a revolution may be 18 inches or rebel ball, depending on the size.
Depending on the size of the bowl, yeah, that's right. But pretty close though. That's one of the things that Daryl was teaching at the mini camp they had between events here. he put an X on the bowl and then rolled it one revolution along the mat and had the X come back to the same spot and showed that one mat length is pretty close to one revolution. So if you're within a mat length, you're just one revolution away from being perfect.
Cameron's kind of in a good position here where he has the bowls back or at the jack, and Brandon's come up. He's going to come up and have a look.
Mm-hmm.
He's come up short on those couple. He's going to need another really good bowl here.
Yeah, sometimes it's a real good thing to come down and take a look and see just how short you really are, because from the mat you might think you're only, 6 to 10 inches, but really you're 2 feet.
And when you're looking up down the green towards the head, you don't always properly see the perspective of the bowls in relationship to each other, whether they're slightly ahead or slightly behind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wind's really picking up here. I wonder if that'll make a difference in how he plays this bowl.
This is a big bowl.
He's not short, just through the head.
Just
Now if Cam's lying 3 there, that's the game. But I don't know if he is. He's coming back to throw his bowl.
he has to put a little push on this one that's closest to us
Mm-hmm.
there. The front one, right? Or draw through it.
Or draw through it, yeah. If he can bring the jack back a little bit. He's looking for 3, and you definitely don't want to be missing opportunities like this to close the game. And I think he's short and tight.
One out.
And Brandon's going to measure. I don't think they're measuring for 3. I think they're just measuring for second shot right now.
Who it is?
Is it 2012 for the Nova Scotian? One thing I really like about the setup of this club is that the main road there with the sidewalk, a lot of people who are walking by, since it's so high up, they can just look down into the club and see people playing.
You wouldn't believe the perspective. It is really neat. And I know many times we've been over here practicing or whatever, and people make comments. And there's a bus shelter just at the other corner of the green, and they come out of the bus shelter and watch us play all the time, and they're always yelling and screaming.
Throughout the week, I saw quite a few people who would either be walking or biking, and they would just stop and sit on the hill there and watch.
There's a general hospital just next door, and there's a community college up the street there, so there's people going by here, like you say, all the time.
I'm told that it's really tough to hear us with the wind when it picks up, so I'll do my best to speak up a little more and try to cover the mic a little bit. Hopefully the wind doesn't stay too blustery throughout the rest of the day. It's nice to keep the players cool, but don't want it affecting the bowls too much either. So Brandon's lying
draws
2.
in for 2.
Seeing if he can claw his way back into this game. And Cam is just looking for 1. He's not far away.
Just need a little more.
Need another 1.5 feet. $17-10 Priscilla Westlake over Sydney Boyd in the women's match, and it looks like Priscilla's lying 2 right now. As Brandon goes through the head there to get a back bowl.
Brandon's just got 1, I think. Cameron hopes to slide his front one.
Cam's looking for the
Very
jack.
close.
Looking for the jack.
Very close.
And that
That'd be the shot.
should be shot. And Brandon's going to take a look.
I think. No, I shouldn't say that now. Now that I look at it.
You know, it's a really tough spot to be in for Brandon because Cam only needs 1. So on any given bowl, he could be lying game from here out, whether it's now or if he continues on for another few ends. And that's a really tough spot to be in because just 1 bowl will do it. I'm sure they'll put a measure to that, but it looks like Cam from here.
Yeah, he's close. Brandon's on the angle, and he's more behind, so it's really hard to tell. Here comes his final delivery.
This is interesting with Cam's short bowl. Do you have to be inside that or outside?
He can follow Cameron's path. He'd get and reach him. He'd pick himself up a deuce. It's
Playing
close.
through the head.
It's close.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That should give Cam the game, I think. He's looking at it.
Still looking at it.
Must be close.
Oh, look.
Brandon's gonna take a look. I think he's got a few choice words for Cam saying, you know, I gave that game to you. And that's it. So 21-12. The final will be between Cam LeFresne and Luke Caldwell. The bronze medal match will be Brandon Watson, Robbie Law. Women are still playing. Priscilla's up 17-10. But that's it for now. We'll take a short break. I'm not sure if they'll be having lunch here. It's 11:30, so probably. We'll take a quick break for lunch, and then we'll be back with one of the finals on Rink 2. Stay tuned to our social media accounts, Facebook and Twitter, and we'll hopefully see you then.
See you then.